Welcome back, everybody, to A&M Reviews. It's Muhammad and Adrian, and today we're here to review the film The Harder They Fall, now on Netflix. Essentially, this film is about when an outlaw discovers his enemy is being released from prison, he reunites his gang to seek revenge. So, what did you get from the film The Harder They Fall?
Yeah, it was really good. I didn't realize this already came out or was out for about a month. October 6th is when it was released on Netflix. I would say it's an example of how Netflix takes every chance and they get a few right. I don't know what the percentage is. I feel like it's very low for the original content, but it's only up. This is really good. I mean, the cast was amazing, with Regina King and Zazie Beetz, Idris Elba, Jonathan Majors, Lakewood Stanfield. Like you said, the list goes on. It was really good. It's hard to have that many characters and still have a cohesive story. I think they did it pretty well, and I wasn't expecting the twist at the end.
No, me neither. I really enjoyed this film. I've watched it twice at this moment, and I would watch it again. This is really enjoyable. It does have a little bit of the Django Unchained vibes, a little bit.
Yes, I was thinking about that movie. I was thinking about Samuel L. Jackson's line when he saw Jimmy Fox and Horse for the first time. I kept hearing it over and over every time Jonathan Majors got on the horse. I could hear it in my head. But I was like, you know what? This isn't the same movie, and I'm glad they didn't go that direction. But they could have.
Yeah, I'm glad they really didn't make it about so like racism and slavery and all that stuff. Right. This was strictly a Western, a Black Western. Yeah. And that's not really my favorite kind of movie. It's probably my least favorite, but they did it pretty well here. There's a lot of style with this, a lot of violence. Yeah, definitely rated R. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed all of the actors, really good casting. And I have to say, I really have to commend Idris Elba to be able to play as a hero and a villain very well. I mean, he can go back and forth.
He can.
I mean, compare him to somebody like Will Smith.
Yeah.
Yes, he's played a villain, but is he really a good villain? Can you really believe that he's a villain?
No. What was he a villain in?
Suicide Squad. I mean, he was still kind of likable in that too.
And still barely a villain. But no, you're right. I was thinking when I was watching Idris Elba alongside Jonathan Majors, I feel like great actors play the hero, they get a little bit older, and then they play the villain. And it's like, it's natural that way. Something happened, like Denzel Washington in The Equalizer. I guess he's still a hero in that, or like,
Training Day?
No, Training. Oh, Trinity, he was a villain. You're right. He was a villain in that. But there was one he was a bit older in where he was the bad guy. And I can't remember which one it was.
Fences?
I've been standing right there with you.
I mean, he kind of was looked at as a bad person towards the end.
He was the villain of that story. He didn't love his son. Or how dare he ask that question? Cheated on his wife. She took care of the baby. Still ungrateful. She's standing right beside him all those years. But
he was faithful.
It was good. But I had that thought. Idris is now the villain. He's a more seasoned actor. But at the same time, I was like, well, he still plays the hero very well too. He goes back and forth. And it's also, I think, this is a complete side story. I feel like Idris Elba in this makes wasn't he in Fast and Furious?
I have no idea. I haven't watched them.
He was I can't remember if it was one of the Fast and Furious movies or one of the movies just like, no, he was, because he was like a robot halfway.
Was that Hobbs and Shaw?
Hobbs and Shaw, pretty much Fast and Furious.
Okay. It was kind of like a spinoff.
Exactly, the spinoff. I feel like his performance in this makes that movie worse, because that movie is terrible. But it's about directing and the motivations of the characters and everything, because Idris Elba is an amazing actor in the right movie, for sure. In most movies, it's hard to make him a bad actor, but they seem to do it in Helpless Charm. But anyway, it makes it shine more, right? And seeing Regina King, hearing a little bit of Riley in her voice.
Yeah, I mean, I found that her voice kind of stood out the most.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that was a good thing or a bad thing, because I think she really tried with that. Whatever the voice was, it was kind of country.
It wasn't quite country. It was almost I feel like it was also like a Creole or Caribbean twang, which is interesting. And you think about the time period, you know, I mean, this is post slavery, but not too far, right? Segregation is still a thing, self segregation or otherwise. So, I mean, I think you would have interesting accents if you lived out in the middle of Texas, given that her background in that time period wouldn't be that far removed from slavery. So, and how their dialect was. So it was interesting. I almost like want an interview with her talking about her voice. I feel like it was, being the actress that she is, I feel like it was very intentional, but it definitely did stand out the most. At the same time, I felt like Lakeith Stanfield and his lack of an accent stood out just as much. But if anything, it just, you know, it didn't really matter. They were all from different places, or it all just blended so well. They didn't have to they didn't all have to put on a Southern twang. Yeah,
I mean, Lakeith Stanfield, it seemed like he was barely trying sometimes. It wasn't always bad though. I think it was more just him.
No, playing an effortless character.
Yes. Okay, yes. That's a good interpretation. I don't want to pile on him. I mean, I think he still did pretty well in that role, but yeah, you could just tell he was just, you know, just talking in his normal voice, wasn't really trying to do anything special. Right.
And I thought that was interesting. And not a lot of them did voices. I mean, obviously Idris Elba is always doing a voice. Zazie Beetz, I didn't really feel like had a voice. Jonathan Majors was taking on some country Southern draw a little bit. Same thing with Daniel Deadwyler's character. And her name was Kathy, but she went by Kofi as well.
Yeah,
that was her given name, and her birth name's Kathy. I thought she was an interesting character. Someone who, for all intents and purposes, could be trans or at least gender non-conforming. And not only is she acting as someone who identifies as a male in the movie, but I mean, they don't make fun of it, but they have a point where, okay, can you do this one thing for us, right? And she puts on a dress. And the RJ Salas character, he was pretty funny. The comic relief.
Yeah, he was really good.
That was pretty good.
I know I've seen him before, but I just can't remember what movie he's been in.
Like he is
Power Rangers. Oh, that's what I've seen him in.
Yeah,
that was him.
Mm-hmm. I know he's been in a lot of stuff, but again, you know what? It's all about the movie, the director, the screenplay. All that matters. Because if Power Rangers, that ain't it. But he had the right direction and the right screenplay for this one.
Thanks for watching. And if you would like to be featured on our podcast, make sure to click the link in the description.